Little did Lester Holt know he was tweeting the fake Denzel Washington from yesterday.
It's all a mess. We have the real Richard Hanna on the phone
do.
with us right now, I think. Richard, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, and it's me.
No imposter.
No.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Doing okay. Doing okay. I sent a nice letter to the folks who would be assuming your position, and can you give us a little insight about what that letter said?
Yeah, we simply want to have as smooth a transition as possible. There are lots of cases out there that we're handling. We finished over 6,000 individual cases in the last 6 years, veterans, IRS, the whole gambit. And a lot of them are up in the air. You know, we're not going to be here long enough to finish them. And my big concern is that whoever gets this job continue to follow through with these cases, because a lot of people are depending on us resolving them. And it isn't always positive, but at least we try to bring it to a conclusion that makes people feel like they've been treated with respect and justice. And although a lot of times we have great outcomes, so that's what that's all about, and give people a chance to get up to speed on who's in our offices, what they're doing, and move forward with as seamlessly as possible. And I'd like to think that all three candidates are interested in constituent services, because that, for me, and I think for a lot of people with this job, that's the best part of the job. You know, Washington is a difficult place to get things done, but in the district you have a lot of authority to help people one at a time.
Talking with Richard Hanna, the outgoing congressman here on the Talk of the Town.
So are you looking forward to the conclusion of this presidential race, of the conclusion of your term, right?
It's crazy and difficult to watch, and it's difficult to listen and realize that so little of it has any substance, that there's such huge issues out there, but you don't hear about it. You know, you hear this kind of vitriolic mudslinging back and forth, and it's disappointing. And unfortunately, I think it's gotten more and more that way in our politics.
You made a big splash when you crossed party lines to support someone from outside your party for the presidency. Are you doing the same thing with regard to these congressional candidates, and will you make an endorsement?
I'm not sure. It's not like me to stay out of something like this. I certainly feel strongly that Ms. Tenney is not qualified for this job. She's somebody who's a serial candidate who's run many times for different jobs. I think 6 or 7, who has, I think, shown a capacity to not support her community. She's voted against the Nano Center, voted against this community, voted against the Broome County community with the University of Binghamton. So it's difficult for me to support somebody. I would love to have a nominee that I could support, and I would have been happy to support Steve Wells had he been the nominee. You know, a thoughtful guy, a smart guy with the right intentions. But so I don't know what I'm going to do going forward. I do think that Mr. Babinek and Kim Myers are both, reasonable people, thoughtful people with good, successful backgrounds. I get a kick out of these commercials where they show them both as millionaires, which I'm sure they both are. But you know what? You need more people in government who don't need to be there. And you don't necessarily need more millionaires. But I can tell you, there is a political class in this country that Congress and government everywhere is full of people who are almost unemployable otherwise. And that's a harsh thing to say. But when you see people voting against their communities to keep a job, to get a job that gives them a voice and time that people pay attention to, and people love to hear the sound of their own voice and love to be on TV, it's disappointing, because this job should never, ever be about the person who holds it. It should always be about the people they serve. And, for me, I found myself in difficult spots over the 6 years, because I really do look at it as 720,000 people or so that I work for, and try to be as broad and thoughtful in how I approach things, and try to represent everyone I can as often as I can, and do it and explain myself. Our office has written 930-something vote explanations. We get back to people in 48 hours. We treat it like a real job that has real customers that we need to respond to. And I don't get that sense out of Miss Tenney at all. I mean, I really get the sense that it's all about her, that she really is the operative definition of a career politician. I'm disappointed that I can't support the Republican nominee, but I can't do it. So one of the other two people, Mr. Babinec or Meyer, I think people should look at them and vote their conscience, look at who might have the most to offer them, and move forward.
We're talking with Republican Congressman Richard Hanna at 100.7 FM, WUTQ.
And Congressman, you just mentioned that, over your time, you didn't vote necessarily political, but for the folks that you're representing. And I know how important this seat, it's been watched quite a bit on a national level. Do you find the importance of one party over the other in this seat in regards to how the Senate will be run, controlled?
Not really. One of the problems with this country is that most of the congressional seats, the overwhelming majority of them, have been gerrymandered in a way that if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat, you can't lose. So the primaries have become, and I've said this many times, kind of the new general election, so that if you win a primary, you automatically coast through a general election. Mm-hmm. So that people in seats like this and other seats that currently are Republican throughout New York are seats that the Democratic side go after because they are truly swing districts. So what happens is that kind of pragmatic center that used to exist in this country, where people were forced to get things done, forced to be more broad in their thinking and not as ideological to the far right or left, those seats are being taken away. There are less than 35 or 40 of them in the country, and this is one of them. So you get an extreme far-right person like Claudia, shut down the government, don't pay your bills, that kind of thing, which she said. She can win a primary in a seat like this. The question is, does she deserve to win a general? I'm a pro-choice guy. I support the LGBT community. She does not. People have to look at those things and say, does that matter? And gerrymandering, as I started out to say, is really making a mess of our democracy because it has, as I said, also gutted the pragmatic center of our country. That group of people who understood that it's important to work together, that compromise is kind of the sweet spot of democracy, and you don't have these cycles where each side wants to run the table so they can get 100% of what they want, but all that does is create a situation where nobody is really happy because, frankly, with a 60-vote rule in the House, in the Senate, it never happens anyway. Why are we voting 65 times against Obamacare? I certainly support a lot about Obamacare. There are big problems with it. We see it every day. But, that took up essentially a year of our time or two when we could have been dealing with big issues on immigration, on tax reform.
So, Congressman, I think
education.
I think you're saying politics is kind of the problem in politics, in a way.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is. It's become all about winning or losing and not about serving. And, if you look at my record, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that would complain about some of the things and ways I voted, but we have gotten our job done. We've had, my first 2 years, I got more work past the floor, became law than all the other 90-something members together. Not earth-shattering things, but I know how to work. I won't say I'm the best at anything else, but I have a staff that knows how to get their job done. We know how to be responsive. We pick things that we can do. And the same is happening now. We had a bill pass on cybersecurity a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It's a very important bill, and it'll help millions of people. Not a lot of fanfare. We don't need it, but it's a grind. You do this job right. You're not on TV. You're sitting with your face in a bunch of papers, trying to figure out the right thing to do and how to move it forward. Mm-hmm. And that requires me to get along with people, not make enemies out of 50% of Congress every day.
And Congressman, with that, we started off the conversation with that open letter, and you mentioned, it's about working with individuals. You also talked about some of the projects that are still ongoing and open, I guess, if you will. What would be the advice to either Kim or Martin or Claudia, whomever assumes this position? What would you tell them going forward?
If you're doing this job right, find a way to find people to work for you, because I'm only one person. We have 16 people on our staff. Connect with the community. Be honest and forthright about what you think and who you are. Don't pander to one group or another just to make sure you get reelected. And do the job as the title is representative. So get out there and represent. Represent people one at a time and try to represent your community broadly. And, if you look at Ms. Tenney in Albany, she's gotten nothing done. And she's run for office, as I said, 6 or 7 times. I mean, if people don't like career politicians, why would you vote for somebody whose career has been in politics for years and years? It doesn't make sense to me. On the other hand, Kim Meyer and Mr. Babinec, I think they're both people. They're people I know, I've met, talked to. I haven't endorsed anybody. Don't know that I will, but they're people who are later in life who want to do this. I think for the right reasons. You don't have to agree with them, but I think their motives are sound and reasonable. And I have learned in my time that the worst thing in government is a career politician. This political class that exists in our country that sells us out to keep themselves employed in jobs that you and I most people would love to have. You don't work that long. You're home a lot. You're in Washington away from your families. But for a lot of these guys, it's the best thing that ever happened to them. And, I don't begrudge them that. But what I do say is you should go to work every day with this job prepared to lose it. And very few people are. And you've seen the way I've stuck my neck out. I mean, I feel beaten up a little bit every day. I take it on the chin, and I ask for it, so I accept it, and it's what I deserve. But I can't support Trump, and I wish the Republican Party had come up with a better nominee. They didn't. And this guy, to me, is a dangerous individual for a whole host of reasons.
Right. You kids getting ready for Halloween? Dressing up? Costume choices?
Yeah. My daughter says she wants to go as Trump. I got to believe that will be the most imitated costume. His hair, his persona, that red face. So I don't know if I'm going to let her do that, but if that's what she wants to do, I guess it's fine with me.
No influence, huh?
Where's she? Son. Maybe Emerson should go as Trump, and Grace can go as Mrs. Clinton.
There you go.
That is funny.
Good luck with that. Thank you, Congressman.
Hey, you take care, and thanks for your time.
All right, Richard Hanna joining us. Boy, wouldn't that be ironic, huh?
I wonder where that conversation comes up.
And the fact that he would allow it to happen, too, if that's what the kid wants.
Oh, this kid's
going to do.